And I just wanted to start then by thanking you, Nathan, for taking the time to chat with us at the Christian Beat today, all about your upcoming single that releases tomorrow.
Yeah, it's exciting. I love the Christian Beat. You guys supported me from the jump, and we're seeing some big things happening. So it's pretty awesome. Like this single, I just feel is. I know every artist says this, but it just feels different than past releases, and it just feels much bigger than me. So it's been really cool, and I know it's going to bless someone. So.
And I'm curious, have you felt that all along for this release, or is it kind of been growing as you've gotten closer and closer to letting it out in the world?
I knew from the moment I heard this song that it was different than
Okay.
than the rest, and I just remember, and we had gotten some feedback from because we had sent the song out to some different radio people, and we're like, hey, what do you think about this one? Just trying to like test the waters and gauge things. Um,
Hmm.
and so many of them had came back and said how much they love the demo of this song, and we actually and that was before we released the last single, Something We're Singing About. So that's been like really old feedback for this song. And I was like, man, we've got to revisit that. And once I heard the demo that we did, because a friend of mine, Luke Nielsen, had written the song on and did a demo on guitar, and so we did a piano demo with my voice, and
Hmm.
it was just like once everybody heard that, you're like, this is the song. And I don't know, I just felt something on it, just different songs you feel kind of an anointing on it. And I was able to come in kind of separated from the song because I didn't write it. So it was one of those things where I was like, man, this is really blessing me. So I know it's going to bless someone else.
I was going to ask how that kind of happens for you, because you're being a songwriter, and then this song is one. Obviously, you mentioned you didn't write this one in particular, but I'm curious how you're still able to have a connection to the song. You mean it. You even mentioned it. It meant something to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. It's actually funny. I feel like it means so much more to me than songs even I've written myself. I think there's kind of a misconception that if an artist doesn't write a song, that they can't feel connected to it, and that's just simply not true. I think actually the goal of any songwriter is finding the right artist to sing their song. And there's so many artists in the past that have cut demos for songs and it just wasn't the right fit. It just didn't connect with them. But then they just find that artist that for some reason brings it to life. And I don't know. I mean, when I heard it, I was like, man, it feels like my story. It feels like something I would have written. And that's cool to me. I wish I would have written it, but it's one of those things like I don't care who writes it. I know that's an old school way of doing things. It's like, hey, let me listen to your catalog and pick out a song. But it really wasn't like that. But I was like, man, I'm not too proud to do that. It's not a big deal for me. I love it. So I hope more of those opportunities kind of come my way, and I keep finding those songs that other people are writing that they just need an artist to connect with and really get behind. I think we both need each other. So
Absolutely. Do you want to share a little bit about the message of the track, and how it really connects with you?
well, like the opening line is, to all the wayward sons and distant daughters and desert lands, troubled waters, do you know? And it starts going, so it's kind of starts in this place where I feel like we've all been at, where we're in a place where we don't feel we're not home. That's for sure. We're in a place that feels so distant from, our roots. We feel in a place that's so distant from our values and our morals, and just we're in this place where we're just struggling. Uh, but then it kind of like begs the question, so to speak. It begs the question, like, do you know that God still loves you even through that? And do you know that not only does he love you, but he is joyful just to even know you exist, like joyful just because, every time he hears your name, he's joyful over it. It's really not one of those things where, hey, we struggle and, it's not one of those things where, hey, I'm a great Christian. I'm doing all the right things in life. Everything's going great. And then I fall down. And then when I get back up, I have to go all the way back to the starting line. That's not the case. Where it's really the prodigal story. It's where we where we get picked up. You know what I'm saying? We fall down, we pick ourselves back up, or God picks us up. And I mean, we're right back there in his good graces. It's not one of those things where we have to keep struggling and fighting for it. He loves us even though we're wayward. He loves us even though we're distant. And we can choose right now to just believe that and come back to the Father. It's not one of those things where it's constantly restarting and restarting and restarting. Uh, and I love that. I love the fact that God is really, we overcomplicate it. He's really just joyful to simply even know us, and simply joyful that we're his child and that we're made in his image. And that's hard for people to wrap their heads around, I think. But for me, that's a message that I've been I've been preaching from the stage for a couple years now. So like when I heard this song, I was like, man, this is really right where I'm at in life right now.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, with it coming out tomorrow, how are you looking to kind of help continue the story behind that message?
I'm just gonna keep. I mean, what I say is, I'm just gonna keep telling my story. I'm just gonna keep sharing my testimony. People know us by the words of our testimony, and I'll be honest. Sometimes it's been hard for me to even share my testimony, not because of the trauma and the different things that have happened. We've talked in depth about my story, but at the same time, I know that even though it's hard for me to share that story, it still needs to be said because there's people out there that while you've gotten out of the pit, that's great for you, but there's still people out and there's still people out there that are in the pit, and they need to hear that somebody's overcome it, and they need to know that there's somebody out there who has been right where they're at in life right now. So I think that's, and I've gotten proud at times where I'm like, man, I'm kind of tired of sharing my testimony because I feel like I'm in a place now where the Lord's really blessing me, and I'm kind of I feel like I'm at the summit. I feel like the Lord's brought me out of the pit, and now I've reached the mountaintop. I'm not in the valley anymore. So why do I keep talking about this? Well, and the answer is obviously clear that, well, it's because you are a living testimony now, and it's your job to go out there and make sure that other people know that, hey, man, there's a saving grace here. We don't have to be in the same place forever, and there's a grace for you. There's redemption. Christ can redeem anything. There's nothing too broken that he can't fix it, and you can choose right now to follow him, and he loves you just where you're at right now. He loves you, and your full identity can be in him. There's a new story for you. There's a new destiny for you. And I think that's my overall message probably until I die. Is just, hey, man, the Lord loves you. Your identity's in him, and there's nothing you're ever going to do. There's no place you can run that's too far that he can't reach you. And yeah, I know that's long-winded, but that's really, I'm going to continue that message in every song and from the stage.
Absolutely. No. And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be the second single, with you being on the new label. Is that right?
Yeah, that's second single. First single, really, the first single we had already finished before I even signed.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine, producer Jay Spate, he had produced the song, and me and him had already been working on it. I signed to the label, and they get in the mix, and they take the song. Man, they took it from me, and they're like, nah, we're gonna release this on the label. I said, great. I mean, I love the fact that a team kind of came behind that, and man, it made all the difference in the world just seeing. I mean, I don't know if that song would have been heard the way it's been heard without them. And right now, I think with something we're singing about, we're well over 3 million streams on Pandora. I know that. Probably about 3.5 million streams total, plus radio play and whatnot, and that's bigger than every other song I've ever done put together. So every album, every EP put together. So I would say that there's been a big shift, in my career in that aspect, with just the right people coming around me finally, and really putting the songs in the right places and in front of the right people, and making sure the songs are good. That's number one, right? So making sure I'm not just releasing whatever, because as artists, we'll just put it out there, man. Like, we think every song is the best song we've ever done, So it's good to have the second set of ears listening in.
For sure, for sure. And I don't want to have you share too much, but just curious what else is up with you. What other exciting things you have planned upcoming?
I am going on tour, just a solo acoustic tour. We've got about 15 dates so far. So I'm touring this summer and into the fall. More dates to come. Some different festivals. So people need to go check me out on Bands of Town and see where I'm going to be at. But just a lot of touring, a lot of new opportunities, a lot of interviews. So there's been like, man, yesterday I had three. Today I had you, and I think I have two interviews tomorrow. So it's just a lot. It's just a lot going on. I feel the love for sure around it, and I'm just really, what I'm doing is uh, man, I'm just pioneering through. Like, that's what I'm doing, and I'm just staying the course that I know that the Lord has for me. And I think people are just going to see more and more things kind of coming out of this camp that we're building. I know it's Nathan Sheridan, that's the name, but there's so many people involved in it. Rickson Entertainment, Amplo Records, things like that. So keep a lookout in general, because I believe there's a lot of things coming. A lot of radio play I think is going to come out of this. So hey, who knows? Maybe the Super Bowl's next.
Sure.
You know what
Hey,
I mean?
might as well.
Dancing
Um,
with the Stars.
just all of it.
Yeah, yeah. America. People still ask me to this day, like, "Oh, when are you going to go on American Idol?" I'm like, well, I'm not really sure that's the best fit for me right now, because first of all, I don't think they accept people that are already signed to labels. I think that's like, I'm pretty sure that's in the rules that you can't be signed to a label. And I'm like, I've kind of already done a lot of the legwork, for this. I think I'm just going to stay the course. They're like, well, what about The Voice? And I'm like, man, like, people think once you hit The Voice, like, that's the big time. So I'm like, man, maybe I should just do it. See what happens. Get on TV. That's the goal.
That's funny. Well, I am curious. We touched on it a little bit with the high streaming counts and the volume that something we're singing about had. I'm curious how you kind of level set, or how you kind of adjust. I don't know if adjust your expectations for your new single. Do you know? But what is your goal behind the impact that song will have then?
Honestly, I really just hope it reaches the right ears. I mean, I'm not a big metrics guy. I'm not one
Mhm.
of those people. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love seeing numbers come in. I love seeing playlists picking it up. I love seeing stations picking it up. But at the end of the day, we live in a world where social media is so powerful, and there's no telling where a song can go. There's no telling who it can reach. And I've had songs in the past that weren't huge songs in terms of metrics, but I've gotten personal messages uh, from so many people saying, "Man, uh, you might remember a song I did, Broken with You, years ago," um, and like, I still get messages to this day about that song, saying, "Hey, man, like, I even got one that said I was gonna end my life, and then I listened to that song, and it just gave me the courage to keep going." And for me, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. I didn't even know people were really hearing that song like that. But it's not necessarily a popularity contest. There's so many amazing songs that, while they're not huge in the grand scheme of things, they're reaching the right listeners. And I think
Mhm.
that's the key. I think people that are seeking something out will find it. And that's really your core, right? Like, there's still people that come to my shows to this day and still follow me to this day, that absolutely loved some of the songs I put out that didn't really go, to big places, but they keep showing up to shows and they keep supporting me. So that's kind of a misconception, I think, with artists. It's like, well, the bigger the numbers, the more people going to show up and all that. It's actually built, building up, a fan base that's going to like really identify with what you're putting out and finding the right people to listen to your music. So that being said, I'm not against it going blowing up and doing big things. So um, it's just all about a balance, and that helps you keep humble and set your expectations, because at the end of the day, I mean, we're doing this for the Lord, and it's about ministry, and it's about it's about helping people. I mean, it really is. It's about encouraging people, and that's really what it. If I think if we stay that course, we're going to see success. We're going to see more than what we can, more than what we can imagine with it. We just got to keep our expectations clear, and we got to make sure they're the right expectations, not fame and fortune. But if those things come, amazing. But at the same time, we have to keep true to ourselves and keep true to the mission.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think we'll close with just giving you, 30 seconds to share whatever message you'd like to with your listeners and those that are going to or have come in contact with your music.
I just want to share a message of hope. I mean, I know I talked about it through this interview. I just want to share that it really, wherever you're at, wherever you're going, wherever you've been, uh, Jesus is right there in the midst. He really is. And he's, I mean, even in my story, there was so much brokenness and trauma, and so much of that today is, I feel like so much of those things today, like your trauma and your history and your circumstances, are kind of like put on a pedestal, and it's said that you can never overcome those things. But I'm living proof that you can overcome those things through the power of Christ and what he's done for you. And it's not something, I truly believe it's not something you have to deal with forever. And I truly believe that it's something you can overcome. You just have to keep going, first of all, and you just have to recognize the truth of who Christ is, and recognize what he's done for you, and know him as Savior. And life's going to change, man. Life's going to change once you know Christ and once you know your identity. It's not complicated, even though the world makes it complicated. But man, just know there's hope, know there's Christ, and just keep seeking that. Keep seeking that.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to thank you again, Nathan, for taking the time. I again enjoyed getting to chat with you and getting
Yeah,
to hear more
absolutely.
of what you're up to.
Yeah, I guess I'll see you at the Devil Awards or something. We'll have to
Sounds good.
do another when I'm receiving my 7 trophies
That sounds great.
for this song, this exact song.
For this one, yep.
Well, I guess it'll be next year's awards that I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll make an exception.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, people keep saying, "Oh, you're going to the Devil Awards. That must mean you're winning something." I'm like, "No, I'm just going." So,
That's awesome. But yeah, thank you again. Really appreciated getting to chat with you and you making the time to do so.
absolutely. Well, shout out to the Christian Beat. Love you guys. Thank you for all you do, and hope to talk with you again real soon.